Oh, we're live? What's going on, Tile friends? Hello, Tile friends. Thanks for joining me live. I'm going to break format today. We are celebrating. I am celebrating, and you're celebrating with me. I don't always drink on the Tile Money podcast, but when I do, it's usually a pretty popular episode. So let's crank this music up and break format. Get this party started a little. Like I was struggling to open that champagne there. I really botched that one. You only get one chance to open champagne. If you botch it, you botch it. Cheers, Tile friends. Champagne is probably the #1 worst drink to drink if you're going to be doing a live podcasting stream. You know I will. I already told her what time it was. I'm going to go grab her right now and share some of the champagne. I'll be right back. All right. Thanks for putting up with me, guys. I really appreciate all you, the audience, and everybody who's been following along on the Tile Money journey and putting up with my ridiculous ways at times. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you to all the sponsors who have supported this show. Ladecrete and the NTCA have been a sponsor from day one, practically day one. About 3 months into the podcast, I think I got a call from Jim Olson with the NTCA, and he said, you know, Luke, we see what you're doing. We see you want to talk about the business of tile, and we can get behind this mission. We believe in the mission. And he invited me out to Las Vegas to talk to him and Bart Bediga. And we went, that was during the International Surfaces event of 2018, 2019. So that's how that relationship got started. And I want to talk to you tonight about, you know, maybe some of the reasons I started the podcast and how it's going. But this show's for you. I don't have a lot planned. I'm just going to, you know, talk from the heart and tell you some of my thoughts and feelings on the journey and stuff like that. And if you have questions for me, put them up in the comments. We're broadcasting live throughout the internet on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. But I really appreciate the support of the NTCA along the way. They've really pioneered the idea of organization working for contractors and, really doing an incredible job along the way, pioneering standards and training now with the CTEF and everything. So I want to thank the NTCA for really, being the voice of the contractor for all these years. It's been a real pleasure to work with them. And then, Ron Nash always said, Luke, let me know what I can help with, if I can do anything. And, it's one of those things you're like, oh yeah, I will one day. Well, let me tell you, that guy means it. When he says he wants to help you, he really means it. And he was a supporter, came in with the NTCA, and wanted to sponsor Tile Money. And I always told him, Laticrete can be more. You could almost just have that secure position if you wanted to. In other words, I pitched him. I said, why not Laticrete be my sole sponsor? But he didn't want that. He said, you know what, that's not good for you. It's not good for tile contractors. You make sure to leave that open. And he encourages his competitors to sponsor Tile Money and get involved. And, he believes in the mission. When I talk to Ron about Tile Money, it's, what is the response? He wants to know what the contractors in the field are saying and talking about, and what you guys are dealing with also. He's very interested, to know that. And so I appreciate the support of Laticrete International for these three last years, and Ron's one of those guys, like I said, he says it all the time. I mean, he's given his phone number out on this show, and you can reach out to him. And I really feel that my sponsors, they feel that way. They realize that the new, what do they call that? Like, what's that department in organizations that handles phone calls, customer service? They realize that the new customer service is just talking to your customers online, talking to contractors on the internet, on social media, and getting to know them, and podcasting is a great way to do that. I mean, I've interviewed, we have 167 episodes. Not all of them have been interviews with contractors, but I've interviewed, well over 100 contractors, tile contractors. What better way for a manufacturer to get to know its audience base by listening to the Tile Money podcast? So it's not just about, the contractor necessarily. I think the manufacturer side of the industry and the other side of the industry really could benefit, and does benefit, because I know a lot of them do listen to this, by hearing your stories. You tile contractors out there in the field, telling your stories. And that's what this whole thing has been about. I mean, when Bart and Jim asked me, what do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish with this Tile Money podcast? I told them my story. I'm a tile guy. I started learning the trade, and I became a contractor, and it wasn't always easy, and I struggled with the business side of things the most, because after I learned the craft, I then had to learn that I didn't know the business side of things. But I had that drive, to go out and be an entrepreneur, right? So I told them, I told them about my story, and they were really interested to hear that side of the story. Cause I think, even though the small tile contractor business, 1 and 2 and 3 man operations out there in the field, even though they're, the largest army in the tile installation business. Thanks for listening, Houston. Appreciate you. If you have comments or questions, put them up in the comments, guys and girls. So the tile, my friend, Mario calls it the one bucket army. The one bucket army is a huge army. It's a vast army of tile contractors out there installing tile every single day, and they're the small tile contractor, and giving them a voice on this podcast platform has been really enjoyable, and I think the industry at large is benefiting from hearing your stories. So thank you all to every single one of you who have been brave enough and had the courage to come on this podcast and talk to this crazy guy. And then, speaking of my sponsors, I want to give a huge shout out to GoBoard and Shauna Little over at GoBoard. Shauna Little's, the marketing operations CMO of GoBoard, Chief Marketing Operations Officer. And I've been able to pick her brain and utilize her knowledge with phone conversations on marketing and on business in general. And she's helping a lot of contractors out there, doing the same thing, and again, it's one of those things. She wants to talk to tile contractors. She's on Facebook and all the groups talking to tile contractors every single day. And that's really commendable, Shauna. Keep it up. We love getting to know our reps, you know, and who to talk to and who to call. We need 1 Bucket Army stickers now. I'm on it. It's see, this is a community effort. This Tile Money. That's why it's worked so well. It hasn't worked because of me. I mean, it's you. The audience has been supportive from day one, and I really genuinely want to thank you, because your comments, your participation, my admins in the Facebook group, everybody who's been a huge contributor, to the discussions, contributor. Can't talk usually. But let's get some 1 Bucket Army stickers out. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure that happens. Good idea. So your contributions to the Tile Money podcast come in many different forms, just discussions and feedback. Some of you have given me criticism. Constructive criticism is always welcome. I want to know, so, but Shauna's one of those people, with GoBoard that, again, like Ron, she wants to talk to you. She wants to get to know your struggles in the field, and she's doing a great job of that. So I want to thank, GoBoard, Ladecrete International, and the NTCA for being a sponsor. I thought I would just kind of, start from the beginning. I realized a lot of folks maybe didn't, just recently, in the Facebook group, a lot of people don't even know that Tile Money is a podcast. And that's, that's on me. That's my fault. My bad. I'm going to try to do a better job of that. We've been doing that in the questions, introducing all the new users, or the new people who join, making sure they know it's a podcast. But, just to summarize, how we got started, like I said, I was a new contractor in 2018, California licensed C54 contractor. And I was doing a lot of, research and networking on the John Bridge forums. Well, not so much networking. I was a reader back then. I was quiet as a church mouse. And there's this, kind of unique feature in these groups called a search bar. And you can search your question, and a lot of you use that. I know, I'm just teasing. But you can search your question, and usually, like on the John Bridge forums, I mean, there's not a question that's not been talked about. So if you're out there and you're struggling with a question in the field, and you want to do some research because you're not, you might not want to do a post, remember the search bar works pretty good. And there's a lot of content. And one thing I realized early on is, I mean, at the time I was really not into, putting myself out there. I was very shy. I was kind of going through a lot in my head, and was suffering from like some post-traumatic depression, just like crazy life stuff. But I was a new contractor, and I was trying to figure it out. And my biggest hurdle was the business, the sales. And so I would ask a couple business questions, but nobody really seem to discuss business. It's a difficult thing, and there's a lot of easy kind of cop-outs to discussing business. Well, you're not in my region. You're not, you're in another state. I mean, how can I help you? And that's what I was up against. And even when you search, but I did pick up things here and there. And certainly there is business discussions in John Bridge and in other forums as well. I'm not saying there's never any business discussions, but by and large, by the time, 2015, 2013 came around, and I was actually re-entering the tile contractor field, and I was kind of having trouble with John Bridge on my phone. So somebody said, well, there's some groups on Facebook. So I joined Facebook for the tile groups, and that's how I got introduced to these tile groups. I think Zach Bonfilio was one of the first groups I was in, actually. And the first group I got kicked out of also, because I was mouthing off to Zach. And he doesn't put up with that. And that's the way he runs his ship over there. So cheers to you, Zach. I appreciate being in your group now. You share some valuable content. Now, where was I? Oh, so I found out, in the Facebook groups, I was really stoked to see old faces and names that I remembered from John Bridge. And Jack Hamilton, man, I was like, there's Jack, and I always remember Jack's post being so spot on. I mean, just incredible stuff. Jack is another C54 California contractor from Southern California. And if you want to see some real nice mud work and some real nice tile work, you go in the John Bridge forums and you look, you search Jack's name up. And you're going to see some real nice work, and you're going to get some good advice from Jack. And that was good. That was a good name to come across. Trask Bergerson. Trask is somebody I always loved his post, and rich history. And he's been on the podcast, yeah. So and a lot of you know Trask, but I was glad to see him again and Facebook, and Bradford Denny and Dirk and Mark Christensen, such a great group. But, one funny story I did want to share before I forget it was when I was in the John Bridge forums. And let me set this up, first of all. So one of the things, that I realized was, the discussions are similar to, if not identical, to the discussions we were having in the John Bridge forums. There I go, forgetting to record this. I got to back up. And so the discussions, that's what happens when you drink champagne on the podcast. They were real similar to the John Bridge, forums, if not identical, deja vu. But I realized, it was still, nobody wanted to talk about the business. And for some reason, that's what I wanted to talk about, I had, by that time, if it was new information, I wanted to hear about it. And certainly, some, I can be corrected and things of this nature on some of my beliefs or systems that I've developed, over the years with installing tile. But by and large, I was still struggling with the business, goofy me. And for a little context, between the time that 2008 and 2013 or 14 or whatever it was when I got back into contracting, I had, together with my wife, built and sold a property management company in the San Jose Bay Area. So I had some business, knowledge and some some acumen there. But when it came back to the tile contractor business, I ran up against the same walls. The same damn walls were there. Everybody basically was underbidding everybody, and it was a race to the bottom. And a lot of people don't pay their dues. They don't do it legally. So when I set out to do it, originally I wasn't doing it legally either way, because that's the way I was raised. And I didn't even know that certain practices I was doing were illegal because it was such the norm in the contractor world, for instance, paying employees with a 1099, things of this nature. You lower your overhead by taking shortcuts, sometimes in your work and sometimes in your materials and sometimes in your, the way that, the way the money is handled. And so what that does is, you have to, if you want to be competitive. And so I got to a point where contractors would say, are you competitive? I'm like, no, I'm not competitive. I can't be, but I can offer you all, white hat service, We're going to be legal. We're going to do it according to the knowledge that we've acquired. We're not going to, use the cheapest thin set just because it works sometimes. Sometimes you can, depending on the job. So this is going to set up, I was going to set up something. What was that? Help me out in the chat box, guys. So I was setting up this conversation in John Bridge. And so I realized, by and large, the conversations that are happening on all these forums and groups are primarily how to install the tile, the methods, the standards, which is, obviously that has to happen. But I kind of realized, there's this whole niche over here that nobody's addressing head on. And when the conversation comes up, it oftentimes gets shut down. And so that was interesting to have that revelation. Like, these conversations are still happening. And by and large, the most popular conversations on all of social media, and I'm guilty of it too. And sometimes I use it to my marketing advantage. You realize, hey, people like to talk about, mud versus foam. And so most of the popular conversations that happen, and I don't care if it's Instagram, Facebook, John Bridge forums, most of the most popular conversations that happen are emotionally based. And for example, in the John Bridge forums, there was this one character, and he was a Hawaiian guy, and I mean, he knew how to set tile, and he had learned he was into really track home work, and so I identified with that. I came from a track home base, and he started this thread once about knee pads, and he said that you are not a real tile setter unless you only wear the blue knee pads. Yeah. Come here. You want to say hi? Say hello, tile friends.
Hello, tile friends.
Congratulations on 3 years.
Congratulations on 3 years.
Thank you, sweetie. Thanks for coming in. And this is my beautiful wife, Vina.
Hi.
And without her, we wouldn't have Tile Money Podcast.
Please.
She's my ride or die in a big way.
I did really believe in it. That's for sure.
Thank you, hon. And so, yeah.
I'll come back and answer questions.
All right.
Okay.
3 years, 3 viewers. I'm over here talking to myself. I'm in a closet. One of the comments. Let's compete on quality and keep the rates as high as possible. Said well. She is getting big. 5 years old. So this old boy from Hawaii moves to Texas. He's doing work down there. And I don't mean him any harm by this. It's just really comical. If you've never, some of you might remember this. Some of you never heard of it. But it's a good story. So he starts this post about nobody can claim that they're a real tile setter unless they have these blue knee pads. Do you know the kind? They're plastic and rubber. And he said the reason why is, and I knew the kind because I grew up on them also. In Arizona and in Hawaii, they're very practical. And he explained it. You can throw them in the wash and wash them and get the stink out of them. Well, I never did that, but I did, clean them off with a hose. And they lasted a long time, and they're very, for track homes, they're very versatile. And let you move around really easily and freely. And so I kind of saw where he was coming from, as I'm sure a lot of other contractors did. But the thing about it is he was so obstinate about, Bartwell. Yeah, that's it. Bar waltz, they're the blue ones. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are bar waltz. Trendsetter, Tile and Stone, shout out watching us on YouTube. Thank you, Ishmael. Appreciate that. And this thread went wild. It was it would give any mud versus foam thread a run for its money with the amount of comments it got. And it got so heated. And that's how dedicated this guy was. He got himself booted from the John Bridge forums, and that was not easy to do. But that's how heated this thread got. It was just wild, man. And so what I'm trying to make a point of is most of these, popular threads are emotions-based arguments of, mud versus the foam. And you can go back to my very first episode. And I addressed this. I said, why are we wasting all of our time arguing when we should be pushing each other to better our businesses and strengthen the industry? And that's, a long way of getting to my point here is the reason why I started the Tile Money Podcast in the Facebook group is to encourage my fellow tile contractors, my peers, to strengthen the industry by strengthening their business and strengthening their bottom line. because I had witnessed way too many, far too many contractors into their older years, retirement years, really. Remember what I said about champagne? Not a good podcaster's drink of choice. Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate that. I try to put out good information. I think 10% of the time it comes out the way I intend it to. But it's been a good experiment. So I go back and I was listening to that first episode today. And if it was September 20th of 2018. And I said, why don't we encourage each other to strengthen our businesses? I said, once you get a certain point that you really know your craft and you're at the journeyman level, yes, there's always continued education, but we're literally spending sometimes 4 hours a day just rehashing the same thing. And so when I thought of my brand, Tile Money, I knew that if I was going to fit in there somewhere, because I saw all these people, I mentioned Zach earlier, Tile Geeks, Global Tile Posse, Tile Love, Flooring Installers of America, all these groups. Now there's one for just the prep. There's one for niches. There's Tile Mafia. There's Mud. All these groups found their niche. They found where they were going to fit in and what they wanted to talk about and what they wanted to inspire others to talk about. And that's why I started with the brand Tile Money, because I really did think it was a conversation that was lacking, that was not getting enough attention. And I know some people along the way said, I haven't had a problem with building a business. I was born a business wizard. I mean, somebody comes to my group and they ask a business question, and certain people will say, you shouldn't be asking business questions. Get out of business. You need to know all these things before you go. Well, why are you here? Why are you on Facebook? Why are you on the internet? The internet is a library full of knowledge. So either you're there to learn or you're there to offer something. The third option is just to waste time and be entertained. Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. There's a time and a place to be entertained. There's a time and a place to waste time. I get it. But I kind of wanted to set the tone a little different for Tile Money. And I think, overall, we've done an incredible job of that. And I want to thank all the admins. Robert Davis, Adam Kofer, Kevin Ford, Michael Miller's in there. I'm forgetting one or two, but thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'm going to pull it up so I can properly thank everybody. But and the posters, man, the people, I have not built that group. You all have. You've built that group. I had the idea. I had the crazy idea, and the group has built itself, and really, I'm there to kind of, keep things on track. And well, I guess I got everybody. Michael Miller, Adam Kofer, Robert Davis, Kevin Ford, and Fred Kabauer. Thank you, guys. And it's been, and thank you to everybody who posts, quality content and questions, Somebody said the other day, this might be a stupid question. There are no stupid questions. We're all at different places. And that's what's so cool. I was at that Lady Creek party they had in Las Vegas. And this thing, when Lady Creek wants to throw a party, I'll tell you something, it's something else. It was on, the 39th, 80th floor. I think it was really high. It was like 80 floors up, real nice place in Vegas, looking over the whole strip. And what was cool is my buddy Casey came with me, and he said, I was just at the urinal. I was just at the urinal, and the guy, next to me at the other urinal, he was on his phone, and it sounds like he did about $100,000. He sold about $100,000, standing there on his phone. And the point is, it's a funny way to say, you can rub shoulders in this industry by going to these events and by talking, also virtually in the groups. You can rub shoulders with people who are where you want to be. You can rub shoulders with people who are in a league of their own, who the president of Ladecrete, Martin Brooks, the president of the NTCA. He's very social, very active. He is a small tile contractor in San Francisco. He operates, I think, less than 8 or employs less than 8 tile contractors. So he is very much in touch with the small tile contractor's dilemma and struggles. So if you haven't, if you're not speaking to Martin Brooks, make sure to hit up Martin Brooks. And when I started going to I want to talk about Total Solutions Plus, but when I started going to coverings and TICE, and if you really want to talk to people, you go to the ANSI committee meetings, you go to the NTCA annual meeting, you go to the meetings during the show and show that you have an opinion, you have a voice, and you want to be heard, and they will listen to you. It's really encouraging to see Bart. He does a brilliant job at these meetings. It's not an easy job, but to see him stop and pause and take count of the room, and at Total Solutions Plus 2 years ago, he said he's asking the youngest guys and the guys who weren't, he said, is everybody an NTCA member? One guy said, no, I'm not. He said, well, we want to hear from you. And he had him stand up and tell his story, and he asked him questions. And he was, I believe that was Joseph Matisse at the time. And Ashley Andrews was there, and Jeremy Ward was there, and it might have been Jeremy. And Ashley was also a moderator in the group. That's who I was trying to remember. Thank you, Ashley. You've done a lot for the industry, or for tile money in the industry. You're a powerful force. Yeah. Oh, so did I get rambling? And I never finished that story about the knee pads, huh? I'm sorry, guys. This champagne went right to my head. So that's, that's why I, thinking back to what I wish I would have known, because I've learned a lot, right? Doing this podcast. I mean, interviewing some of the best tile contractors in the world. And I've interviewed some international contractors, and I've been learning as much from them as I hope you are. And I've been learning from us as you, I hope I can give back and be this conduit of information. But some of the things I've learned is, man, I wish I had started going to these trade shows and getting involved in a bigger way from the beginning. Most of my headaches would have been resolved within a short few amount of years. Because I'm saying, everybody is very helpful and very willing to show you and teach you what you don't know along the way. And that's been my experience, and that's been many people's experience that I've been able to watch. I've been able to introduce people to the NTCA, introduce them to coverings through this podcast, and they show up and their mind is just blowing like mine was. Man, I'm not alone. I'm not a single ship in the sea. And so, Total Solutions Plus is coming up here, and I think less than 3 weeks in October. Go to totalsolutionsplus.com or Google it or figure it out, with your smartest phone in Smartland. But check it out, look into whether or not you should go, because it's the only one that's, going to cost you some money, a little bit of money, put your money where your mouth is, right? That means that the quality of people there is extremely high, because they're all investing in being there. It's important to them. So they're wanting to, get the most they can, specifically when it comes to running a tile contractor business, by going to Total Solutions Plus. Thank you. TSP in Jacksonville, October 23rd through the 26th. And so what I learned by going to TSP was, for business, this is the place you want to be. If you only go to one show a year and you're really concerned or focused on networking and business growth specifically, this is the one, because it's not your typical trade show for 3 days. It's actually a business trade show for 3 days. And then about 6 hours, maybe most, of what you would traditionally want to expect to see at a trade show, where everybody has like a 10 by 10 booth and stuff like that. So I would encourage anybody to go to TSP. And then the last story I want to tell here, we'll go back to one of the first t-shirts I made for Tile Money. I was going to wear it. I'll have to catch up with you, Prunda 95 later. I might have gotten lost in the conversation here. But, I'll wrap up the knee pad conversation real quick. More, please. Going to walk around in stores with Luke talking, lightheaded on champagne. Trendsetter, you're so right, Luke. These are comments from YouTube. These events, besides the education, make connections in business with peers possible outside of local connections. And that's really valuable, because if you have a business question, it's much easier to call somebody three states away than it is your local competitors. If you want to talk technical with your local competitors, that's a much easier conversation to have. Even though I do encourage all to, broach those hard subjects. I mean, this is a hard subject, the business of being a contractor. That's a difficult subject. And, that's one that I'm still wrapping my head around. I'm still learning how to have this conversation and how to draw the most out of my guests. And I'm still learning how to help you guys more, and how to give back more. But the hard conversations in life have to be had. That's kind of scary when people don't want to have a difficult conversation just because it's difficult. That's scary, so don't fall into that trap, because like the Hawaiian from John Bridge, he was so stuck in his belief that there was only one knee pad, a contractor, that he got himself booted out of the group. Later he came back and, he never did that again because he really liked the group. But it was a really crazy debate. But we want to protect ourselves from being so stubborn that you're going to reject somebody else's idea and somebody else's reality. Because the reality is those knee pads might be terrible for somebody. And most professionals would agree that pro knees are the professional knee pads to wear. Good to see you. Thanks for listening in, guys. Appreciate it. But anyway, don't be so stubborn that you pick a subject and you just, you die on that hill, I mean, what's the point, right? So have those hard discussions, hear other professionals' opinions out. So the first t-shirt I made that said Tile Money, I had it done at a local, they were, print in a day, press print. And I had a saying on the back, and it's a fairly popular saying, is cheap work ain't good and good work ain't cheap. Do you agree with this statement? Cheap work ain't good and good work ain't cheap. And I think it's my man Diablo Construction on Instagram, who probably didn't, he for certainly didn't, he wasn't the original person to quote that, but he really pushed it on Instagram, and a lot of others, of course. And then I put it on my shirt. But you know what I came to realize almost immediately, and probably even before I made that shirt. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Zach. Come on. It wasn't Zach. Probably before I even made that shirt. And I'm not talking bad about that guy either, because he, in all other conversations, he was a gentleman and a scholar. And, it's just, we get funny sometimes, right? On the internet, especially. So, cheap work ain't good. Good work ain't cheap. Now, there is a funny thing humans do is oftentimes they can believe two things at once. Because I believe that statement, but also in my mind, I knew it wasn't true. It's not a fact. Sometimes good work is cheap. And in the tile industry, oftentimes good tile work is cheap. And at the same time, there's some really bad work out there that some really good salespeople will sell for way more than some very talented people in this industry. And so I stopped putting that on anything. I don't put it on my shirts anymore. I don't put it on stickers. I don't use that hashtag because that's the whole point of tile money. When I started seeing my older peers, people who were close to retirement age, Jack Hamilton, man, broke my heart. Because I found him on Geeks, and I thought, because for years I followed him on John Bridge forums. Even after I got into real estate and property management, I still perused the John Bridge forums for several years, and I wasn't setting tile very much at all. But I always looked up to the man. He's very talented, and I thought, man, that Jack's going to be running crews. He's going to be not setting tile. He's going to be living the life down in San Diego or Southern California. And I saw him on I met him again on Facebook, and it broke my heart, not because, I'm not saying it, but he was, in business, he was exactly where he was when I met him. And so it doesn't always pan out just to do a kick-ass job. It doesn't always work out. Referrals don't always pay the bills and I don't claim to know his income or, but, and the trade had done its damage on his body and things of this nature. And now he works for Ardex, and they have a great person there. They have a great resource. I mean, he is just so knowledgeable. And so I'm not trying to put words in his mouth or anything, but from the outside looking in, I realized it doesn't always work out just to do good work. That's a lie. Just do good work and it'll work out. That's one of the biggest lies that gets told to contractors, because that's not the case. And I witnessed it in my life with contractors who I saw around town and I met and I worked with, who were doing incredible work, and yet they were essentially living check to check. They had a job for all these years. And this one time in Morro Bay, I bid on a job, and it was blocks from the ocean, and it was a two-story home. It was a large home for Morro Bay, but a small home for Minnesota. And that in California, you build smaller. But it had 3 bathrooms, and each bathroom had natural marble wainscoting, 2 full showers. The master had a inset tub and a shower, a walk-in shower, a tiled ceiling. Everything was marble, chair rails, wainscoting everywhere, fireplace, backsplash, and the bathroom floors. And it was mud work. I mean, I knew we were going to float everything. It's a new construction house. We had, we could make the dirt. It was the most economical way. When you're a California contractor, it's the most economical way to build, and it's the most proven, and it's also probably the best way. When you're working with certain materials, it's the best way. Certain materials require it, and I'm not saying you can't use foam or something, but if you're going to be working with marble and chair rails, and you want you want to know the size of your cut is going to be, plumb this full wall, 9-foot wall up, and you want to know it, you want to manipulate it a little bit. You need to build it out a 1/4 of an inch, or and 3/4. You need to tweak it. And how, and you have people that know how, you're going to do it at every chance you get. You know, it's only in the remodels and the condominiums and stuff that the foam really shines, and a lot of the standard showers we put in, ceramic or porcelain. But if you're really going to, you know, like Mark Christensen, if you don't follow Mark on Instagram, Tarkus Tile, you know, the work he's doing now with that koi pond, koi pond, and you know, the paper face glass and all that. I mean, he had that dialed in before he started installing that. And so there's times when you know you're just going to use the best preparation materials because you can, and it also helped to keep the cost down. But I bid it, you know, I bid that job, and I think I was at $75,000 or something for, you know, 3 bathrooms and 2 walk-in showers and a tub and wainscoting and, you know, the whole 9 yards, right? And I had an employee, and I was going to invite Adam Kofer, and we were all 3 of us going to attack it, and he had an employee, and that way we would each take a bathroom, and then, you know, I would probably finish the rest or whatever. But together we worked on that bid, and we got it down to bare bones because both of us really wanted the job. It was a nice location. It would have looked good for our profile. Thank you. I appreciate that. And so we got that bid down to what we figured was bare bones. And both of us had, you know, employees on payroll and all that, you know, white hat service. And so when we got it down, I think we got it down to 75,000, you know, and I think the person who won it at, you know, closer to 40. And then I usually don't care or don't really, you know, check, but because it was kind of on my drive to and from my other job, you know, weeks, you know, when I knew that job was going on, I went and kind of drove by, and I saw who was doing the work, and I had seen the truck around. I had never met the contractor, and I had never known his reputation. But he you know, I approached him months later. Adam and I were on another job in Cayucas, and I saw the truck, and he was sitting there waiting for somebody. I said, I'm going to go talk to this guy, because that's what I did. I'd like to talk to tile contractors. And so I go up there, and I run up there, and I say, hey, I introduce myself. I'm a tile contractor, too. And I say, we're in this house over here. And I said, say, I noticed you bid on the same job and won the estimate, you know, that I bid on also. And I said, I don't remember what all I said, but I said, you know, congratulations, and I'm sure it came out, you know, really good. And I said, just to let you know, I was about double your bid. I was almost double. And, you know, his eyes kind of got wide. And I said, I just wanted to let you know that, you know, that's the price I came up with. Anyway, I kept it short, and he was, you know, probably my father's age. So I'm always very respectful, and I could tell. I've never seen his work. I've never seen or heard much about his reputation, but just shaking his hand and looking in his eye and feeling his calluses and looking in the back of his truck, I could tell that he was a quality tile contractor. The brief conversation we had, you know, we shop talk for a while, but I could tell he was a quality tile contractor, but he didn't really want to talk to me at all. But that's the way it is with some people, you know. They don't want to talk. They don't want to see what's going on, you know. And I pulled out of him some information, though, you know. He had one employee, and he wasn't an employee. He was somebody who helped him from time to time on the bigger jobs like this one. And I already know he floated everything and did all that, so his materials are, you know, next, you know, they're as cheap as you can get them, which is great, you know. Why not, right? Look, I already explained all that. I'm for it when it comes to mud work. But it was just interesting because I know that customer got a really good job for not a very high price. And, you know, I think that house had an elevator in it. And so people are building homes on the beach with elevators in them and marble everywhere. And, you know, I kind of got sick of seeing the tile guy getting screwed out of some money. And so that's why I started this Tile Money podcast. All right, tile friends. No questions. You got about 60 seconds. You want to ask me anything? It's been a blast. We've got some things. I'm preparing some things for next year. I'm preparing my calendar right now. We've got a lot of sponsors coming in to work with us on various projects. Some of the podcasting. They're going to sponsor some of the events we're doing. They're going to sponsor like the meetups we did at TSP and Coverings. That's right. You've got to meet and network with your local colleagues. So if you're not subscribed to the Tile Money newsletter, you can do that. You can go to tilemoney.com and subscribe to our weekly newsletter. It will let you know about all the upcoming shenanigans. I'm going to be at TSP. I'm organizing something fun, and I'll let you know about it as soon as it's organized and done. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate your support. Steve Dale, he wrote a great book. Called The Profitable Contractor by Steve Dale. You can get it on Amazon. How to attract better clients, make more money, and create the contracting business you really want. Good job on this, Steve. He's coming out with a podcast as well. So if you're going to TSP, I'm planning something. I'm not quite sure what, but it's going to be fun. I just want to enjoy it, talk business, maybe do some live podcasting. It's a really great show. I really, recommend you going if you're not planning on it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're coming out with some shorter videos called Slake Break videos. They're 10 minutes and under. I did go a little long on the last one, but they're 10 minutes. They're made to watch during your Slake Break. Give us a review over at iTunes if you like the podcast. If you want to support us, you can become a patron, or you can give us a donation via PayPal. As always, stay positive out there and stay profitable, tile friends.